Hello everybody, my name is Brandon. Welcome back to the channel. I am here today to share with you my entire 4K movie collection. So if you've been watching the channel this year, you might have seen my 2020 entertainment goals video. And in that video, I talked about how I want to have watched 100% of my 4K movie collection by the end of 2020. So I thought some of you might be wondering, well, what does that actually entail? So today I wanted to show what I own right now, and then obviously I'll be picking up discs throughout the year, so I'll showcase those in my pickup videos at the end of each month, but I want to talk about where I'm at today, so then we can redo this again at the end of the year or the beginning of 2021 to see how much the collection has grown or diminished, whatever the case may be. So I want to throw a disclaimer out there right now. This is not going to be a huge collection. I don't have that many discs, and it's going to be small compared to most people's collections you will watch on YouTube. It's not super unique or anything like that. It's just, I want to share where I'm at right now so we can see the growth or the opposite, whatever the case may be, as the year progresses. So then at the end of the year or the beginning of next year, I will do this again to see where I am at that point. So hopefully you guys don't mind indulging me a little bit and showcasing this entire collection. I've not seen most of these yet. I've only watched about 20% of these so far. So I'm working toward that 100%, but I have a long ways to go yet. So I'll just talk about what I have and probably the reason I bought them, which is probably going to be redundant most of the time, but whatever. I'm sure you guys won't mind. So without further ado, let's dive right in. I'm going to go through these in alphabetical order, and I'm going to try to go as quickly as I possibly can. So we have, first up is Alien Covenant. This is one that I have seen. The 4K looks fine. The movie is, I don't like the movie. I thought it was not good at all. One of my least favorite in this franchise. And mind you, I am a fan of Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection. I like the Alien vs. Predator movies. This one, on the other hand, I did not like. I even like Prometheus, which I know most people don't like that either, but Alien Covenant I thought was just a bad movie. I will maybe at some point give this one another shot just because I love the Alien franchise so much, but no, this one was not for me. Alien Covenant, the 4K on this was fine. Nothing really to write home about. It didn't stick with me too much like some of the other discs I've seen. Next up is American Psycho, and this is one that I've seen multiple times, and a rare instance where I enjoyed the movie better than the book. So this is a 4K disc that is still sealed, as you might be able to tell from the glare. So I've not watched this one on 4K yet, but I will soon, sometime this year. And we're going to have a stretch of those here because there's a bunch I've not seen through this. Aquaman. This one is another one I have not seen, period, so I don't know how the disc looks, but it's one I've heard really good things about for the 4K format. Black Hawk Down is another one that's supposed to be one of the top 4K discs you can get, so I'm looking forward to watching this one as well, and I have not seen this movie at all, which is maybe surprising, because given its age, but yeah, Black Hawk Down. This one I just showed in my recent pickup video. This is Blade Runner, the Final Cut. Another one where the 4K disc is supposed to be one of the best out there. So this one I hope to watch soon, because after I watch this, I want to watch Blade Runner 2049, the sequel. And this is another one still sealed, but I hope to get to sooner rather than later. There's Bumblebee. Charlie's Angels. This is one that my wife really enjoys, and everything I've seen of it, I've liked. I just never watched it from start to finish, and the 4K is supposed to look pretty good, so I figured I'd pick it up for, this one was only like $12 or something on Amazon, so I grabbed it. Deepwater Horizon. This is one I purchased used, so it's open, but I've not watched it yet. Dunkirk, the Christopher Nolan film, and this is one of those that is supposed to be a showcase disc. If you want to show off your system, you put on Dunkirk to really wow people, or so I'm told. So I'm really excited for this one. I picked this one up on Black Friday. Everest, another one that was just inexpensive, so I picked up. I don't know too terribly much about it, but it's a movie that looked interesting in theaters, and so I figured I'd give it a shot on 4K. First Man with Ryan Gosling. This is another one I just picked up recently through Amazon, and another one where the 4K disc is supposed to be stunning, so I'll let you know when I watch it. Gladiator. This is one that I've tried watching multiple times, have fallen asleep both times I've tried watching it, and so I decided I'd give it a shot on 4K because the disc is supposed to be great, and this is one of Chris's favorite movies, who's another contributor here on Cinefessions, so I figured I owe it to him at least to give this one a third chance to see if I can stay awake for it. This one I only picked up, and I picked it up recently, because of the disc replay going on a business sale that I was at. It was only $3, so I figured, why not? For $3, I actually own this one on Blu-ray, and I bought it super cheap on Black Friday a number of years ago, and still never watched it. I mean, I've never heard anything good about it, but if I can add a 4K disc to my collection for $3 or $4, I'm going to do it. Hacksaw Ridge, the Mel Gibson directed war film, another one that's supposed to look great on the format. The Huntsman, Winter's War, the prequel to Snow White and the Huntsman, which I thought was a surprisingly good film, so I figured I'd give this one a shot. Another Christopher Nolan film, Interstellar. It, Chapter 1. This is a movie I saw in theaters, but have never seen it since, and I have not seen the 4K disc yet, but I definitely will because I want to see Chapter 2, so I want to watch this one before I watch Chapter 2. So this one, I really like the movie. I'm sure the 4K is going to look pretty good too, so I'm excited to rewatch this one. Joker, which is one that I talked about in my wrap-up recently, and I absolutely loved it. I think it is an absolute masterpiece. It is just so damn good, and is probably the second best 4K disc that I own and have watched. So I definitely think this one is worth owning on the 4K format specifically because the shots in this just look stunning, and the detail and the cinematography just really pops on the 4K disc. So I think this one is definitely a 4K disc worth owning. Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. This is probably one of the funniest films I've seen in a number of years. I absolutely love this stupid movie. It is so good. I love the cast, and it just works all around. So I'm excited to watch it in 4K because I've heard the great things about the 4K release. Kong, Skull Island, another one that I have to get to, and just I don't know why I haven't yet, but I will soon. If Joker was my second favorite disc, Logan is my first, because this is really the first movie that really blew me away when it came to its 4K release. It just looks amazing. The shots over like the desert setting look so fantastic. This is absolutely must own on 4K. And like I said, the best disc I've seen so far out of the ones I've watched on 4K. The movie itself is also 5 stars. It's fantastic. So this is my favorite 4K release I own, at least out of the ones I've watched so far, which I already talked about. Has not been too many, but by the end of the year, it will be a lot more. So Mad Max Fury Road. This one I'm super excited to own, and I just picked it up recently. I've been wanting to see this since it came out in 2015 or whatever it was, so now I own it, so I have no excuse. The Matrix, the Cinefessions podcast did an entire podcast arc on this full series, so if you are interested in our thoughts on the movies themselves, definitely check out the Cinefessions podcast. But if you are interested in my thoughts on the 4K release, I will say I've watched some of this, but not the whole thing, but the picture quality is incredible. It looks really, really good. The blacks look fantastic. You don't lose any of the detail in the dark scenes, which, you know, a lot of the movie does take place in the dark scenes, and it just looks really great. So I'm excited to actually watch all the way through it, because I don't count this one as watched because I've only watched parts of it on the 4K release. So I will get to this full thing eventually, but the whole Matrix trilogy is available on the 4K format. This is the only one I own though, so. Maze Runner Death Cure. This is a film series that I was shocked I liked as much as I did, and I think the 4K on this one looks really good. This is another one that I think is worth owning on 4K specifically. This film is so fun, and it just contrasts so well with the other two movies in this. This is the third film of the Maze Runner series, by the way. It's great. I really like it. If you have any interest in kind of the premise of this, or like dystopian futures, things like that, this is definitely worth checking out. We have the Tim Burton film, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. This one is probably going to look fantastic, given that it's Tim Burton, but we'll see. Mortal Engines, another one that's based on a young adult book series. I've heard great things about the disc, so I bought it super cheap, so we'll see if I enjoy it or not. The J.J. Abrams produced Overlord. This is a war film that is supposed to be incredible. Have not seen it yet, but I will eventually. And the 4K disc is supposed to look really good too, which is the reason I purchased it. So next up is Pacific Rim, and this movie is fantastic. I absolutely love it. And I have not watched this release of it yet, but I have seen it. I saw this on Blu-ray, standard Blu-ray. I saw it on Blu-ray 3D, which the 3D looked fantastic. I own that as well. So 4K is next up, and I don't mind watching this a third time because the movie is so damn good. And to kind of go along with that, I also just recently picked up Pacific Rim Uprising. So this one is another one that's actually, the movie's supposed to be pretty bad, but the 4K release is supposed to look good. So I will do these kind of back to back and let you know my thoughts once I get to both of the 4K releases. And now for the first 4K release I ever purchased, and it's because this is I think before I even had the 4K TV. It has 4K, Blu-ray 3D, and Blu-ray all in it. And so the fact that it had the Blu-ray 3D, which I was huge into at some point in my life, which I still like 3D releases, we just don't we rarely see them anymore, so I don't seek them out like I used to. But the movie is Passengers, which you could see by looking at it. But yeah, this is one that I picked up because it was the same price as like the Blu-ray was at the time. It was quite cheap, and so this was one I purchased, like I said, before I even picked up a 4K TV. So I've had this for a long time, and you can see, because I'm terrible at everything I do in my life, it's still sealed, but we'll get to it soon. And then Pet Sematary, this is the remake, one that I've not seen yet, and I've not heard the best things about, but I figured I would pick it up because it was a Black Friday. It was cheap. It was like $8 or $10 on Black Friday, so I decided to grab it. We'll see if I enjoy it or not, but I know I like the book. I don't love the book. It's not my favorite King book like it is for many, but I think the original movie's great, and so I'm interested to see what they do differently with this remake. Next up is one of my favorite film franchises that I'm super happy to own on 4K. I actually got this for Christmas last year, and I still haven't opened it, but this is the Planet of the Apes trilogy, and these are the newer ones. So you have Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and War for the Planet of the Apes, which I've seen Dawn and Rise, but I have yet to see War, which is ridiculous because you're going to see in a few minutes, I actually own the standalone release for War of the Planet of the Apes, and I still haven't watched it. I own it twice and haven't seen it yet. But yeah, this one is one I'm really excited to get back to. I think about putting it in all the time, and something just holds me back. I don't do it. But I love the Planet of the Apes series, the original series specifically, which you can see kind of right there. I have on Blu-ray. It is one of my favorite film franchises of all time, and so I really need to complete watching the last movie in this and give it all a rewatch again. But yeah, so Planet of the Apes trilogy. Next up is the only one that's not a movie in this collection, and that is the TV series Planet Earth 2. This is one that I had to pick up because I love those nature documentaries like Planet Earth 1 and all those different ones that they have released. They look amazing, and I remember watching those for the first time in Blu-ray, and it was just blown away how stunning the image looked. And so I wanted that same effect with the 4K image on these, which I suck. I have not opened this yet, but I will, and so I'll hopefully be blown away by this soon enough, but I'll let you know. And then we have Power Rangers, which I just watched last month and talked about in my wrap-up. This is such a fun film. The 4K looks really good. I think I gave the 4K picture quality 4 out of 5 stars. It looks great. Nothing wrong with it at all. It just didn't wow me in the way that Joker did or Logan did, but it was still really good to look at and worth owning on 4K, I'd say. So Power Rangers, really like this movie. And then we have Shazam, which is another DC Universe film that I have not watched yet. I stopped right before Aquaman, and so I need to get caught back up. So the reason I purchased this one on 4K, though, is because I own the majority of the DC EU films on 4K. So I wanted to keep that collection going. I think I just need, like, the first couple, Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, and I'll have the whole thing. But you can call me on that down in the comments below if I'm wrong by the time I end this video. So, Shazam. Spiderman Homecoming, another one I have not seen, period, and one of the Marvel Cinematic Universe films I need to complete by the end of the year. Suicide Squad, I have seen this movie. I liked it. It's not my favorite in the DC Extended Universe, not my favorite superhero film by any stretch, but I enjoyed it. The 4K, I don't know anything about yet because I've not watched this release. I just picked it up, a couple months ago on Black Friday, so we'll see how that looks. Sully with Tom Hanks. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Out of the Shadows. I actually think this was the first 4K release I actually watched, and the picture is really great. The colors really pop of the turtles and the cinematography. I think it just looks really good on the 4K format, and I enjoyed this film. I know a lot of people didn't, but I've liked both of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle films so far. So my only 4K steelbook, and this is because it was on sale. I don't collect steelbooks anymore. I used to be real big on that, but then I realized that I just don't care. And so the reason I own this one on Steelbook is because it was the version that was on sale. This is Toy Story 4, of course. Have not watched this one yet. Bought it because my wife and I were watching through the entire series and needed to finish it, but here it still sits unopened, but this will probably be watched soon because my wife wants to watch it and has been talking about it. So Toy Story 4 Steelbook Edition. This is one I picked up in the 2 for $30 deal on Amazon. This is 2001: A Space Odyssey, the Kubrick film, which I already talked about, have not seen this yet, and own it on Blu-ray and have for a very long time, but still haven't watched it. So I'm going to get to this one soon, and I'm excited to see if it kind of holds up to the legacy that surrounds it. So we'll see. The Jordan Peele film, Us. I loved Get Out, so we'll see if I like this one. This is Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets. I've heard really good things about this one from Chris, so I'm interested to check it out. Next up is Venom, another one I watched last month, and I thought the picture quality on the 4K disc looked great. 4 out of 5 stars, no complaints. The dark levels look really good, and the special effects looked really cool on 4K, no complaints there. I really enjoyed this one, which I know, it gets some love, some hate, so I'm on the side that really enjoyed it. Warcraft, another one of my early 4K purchases that I have not watched yet. As I mentioned, my standalone copy of War for the Planet of the Apes. Watchmen, the Ultimate Cut. Wizard of Oz, which is another one I watched last month. The 4K picture quality looks really good. The movie itself, I think, is fine. It's Wizard of Oz, so if you love the Wizard of Oz, you'll definitely enjoy this release, which I've never seen the movie look better, including the Blu-ray that I've seen. This looks really, really good. And last but not least, we have Wonder Woman. I fell head over heels for this when I watched it in theaters, as most people did, admittedly. Gal Gadot is an absolute goddess, and she's fantastic in this film as Wonder Woman. Super excited for the sequel to come out. But yeah, I love this movie and excited to own it on 4K. Alright, so that's my entire 4K movie collection. I hope you guys enjoyed looking at my collection. I tried filming this where these movies actually live, which is in my bedroom, where my 4K TV is located, but it just wasn't working. It's on a floating shelf, and it wasn't working at all. I'll try to put in some images of it so you can see where they normally reside if you're interested. But yeah, so I decided to bring them all down here and do it this way because it was just easier for me. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I know there was a ton I have not watched yet, but I wanted you guys to see where I'm starting in 2020, so you can see where we end the year. So hopefully you guys will follow me along on this journey in 2020 to see how far I get through my 4K collection. And I'll definitely talk about these as I complete them in my end of month wrap up. So if you're interested in my thoughts, keep tuned to the channel so you guys can hear what I think of these discs when I finally watch them. I'd love to hear from you guys down in the comments below. What movies should I prioritize? What is the best of the best? Specifically when it comes to the 4K releases I own. Which ones should I watch first? You let me know down in the comments below, and I will definitely oblige as best I can. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing, and if not, thank you anyway. I really appreciate you watching. That's gonna do it for today, so I want to thank everyone for watching, and I'll catch you next time.